Hello. I've got rather a spotlit effect tonight. I'm not sure if that's really going to work very well. Maybe I will get rid of the spotlight. Are you okay? Is everyone all right? Yes. Do feel that you can say if you want to flag anything up. We're gonna start sitting just to I'm gonna get rid of that spotlight. It's silly, isn't it? Makes me feel like I'm telling a ghost story or something. We're going to start sitting, but in a really comfortable position. So either if that's sitting on a chair or sofa, if you're not a big fan of sitting on the floor, or welcome. Because I don't know about you, but I certainly feel like I've been neglecting to breathe very much in the last couple of weeks, even though the kids are going back to school and all that kind of stuff. I feel like often we sort of don't give ourselves any chance to process and kind of. So before we start to move our bodies, let's just connect to the breath a little bit. So sitting down, or Nikki, I know you don't love sitting down, so maybe you can sit on the sofa or bed, sitting in a more comfortable seated position if that's better for you. But I would like to invite you to close your eyes and place your hand, one hand on your lower belly, and the other hand, if it feels comfortable, just around the heart center. If it doesn't feel comfortable, just rest both hands in your lap. So whichever feels more like you can invite a sense of softness into the body. If you do have your hands on your body, through the next few breaths, just notice where the breath is going. So with your in-breath, see whether you can feel the breath traveling and reaching both parts of the body that the hands are resting on. And if not, see if you can gently encourage the breath to reach both those places. So we're just gently kind of meandering around the body. Hello, welcome. To begin with, simply to kind of reset your nervous system a little bit. So especially if you've just done bedtime or you've just come back from work or whatever it is, we want to have a little buffer time between starting to move and that space that you've just left with your body. So let's just connect to the breath for a moment and see if you can just find the spaces that your breath is inhabiting. It doesn't matter if you don't want to have the hands on the body, it just can be quite a nice sensory feedback in terms of where you're finding your breath. Notice if just by focusing on your breath, it starts to lengthen and become deeper. And for the next few breaths, I want you to actively release the out breath through the lips. So lengthen and open the jaw. Imagine you're just kind of softening that space when the jawbone, kind of where it meets the ears. Really try and loosen that space. Imagine any tension that you might have been holding around the neck, the jaw area, you can just soften simply with the breath. And you've got 3 more breaths here. And for the next 3 breaths, think about organizing the whole of your body. Notice if you can gently start to lengthen through the spine. Imagine the crown of your head releasing upwards towards the ceiling without any pressure or tension. Just have a sense of letting the body gently start to release and open, like an uncoiled spring gently being sprung again. And then just releasing your arms down if they weren't. And you can flutter the eyelids open if you've had them closed. Now I want you just to let the left ear release down towards the left shoulder and notice how it feels through the right side of the neck. So whether that right shoulder wants to follow, see if you can just softly release that shoulder blade into the back and see how it feels through the neck, where you're feeling this sensation. If you know that you can do it without adding too much pressure, take that left hand and place it onto the right side of the head. See if that encourages just a little bit more stretch. So you may, depending on where you're holding your tightness, you may not have felt a little stretch at all until you added that little feedback. And then just rotating through the skull, looking down towards your armpit and finding a little bit of stretch through the back of the neck. I quite like when I'm at my desk to kind of swivel a little bit gently and slowly, so we're not going crazy, but just bring your nose up towards the ceiling and then release it back down. So you're kind of oiling the head on its pivot. Imagine like a ball and socket joint, which I know your skull isn't, but imagine. Just lubricating all the lovely spaces around the neck. And then gently pausing there. Release the arm down. And then from here, take your right hand onto your right shoulder. And I want you to look over the right shoulder and open up all the way to the right. So we're kind of opening the whole body out the opposite direction. And then just come back the other way. So let's rotate, and this time allow your elbow to travel all the way across sort of the body. So you're kind of wrapping yourself around and then open it up again. So lifting and opening the chest and then bring it down. So the same rotation basically that we've just done with the skull, we're now doing with the whole of the rib cage and into the shoulder joints. Last one. Again, it's quite a good one if you do work at a desk to just invite a little bit more movement into our shoulders and body just by simply staying at your desk. You don't have to go anywhere. So releasing the arm down. Let's do a couple of shoulder rolls in the center before we do the other side. And then bring the right ear to the right shoulder. Now, depending on where your tightness is, I always feel this a lot more on this side than the other side. So you may feel that this is enough on one side, on this side. Otherwise, taking the hand back to the opposite side of the head and just encourage a little bit more of a stretch, but without bringing this left shoulder to. So try and let the left side of the body stay stable and lengthened. And you're just gently increasing the stretch on the right side of the neck. And then rotate the chin towards the armpit or the shoulder, finding that stretch a little bit more around the back of the neck. Again, try not to collapse here in the spine. We're keeping the spine and the torso upright. We're just rotating in the neck and the head here. Breathe, especially if you feel like it's a little bit tight, because you might have tightened those shoulders up. So try and relax them down. And then do little gentle rotations, unless you feel that it's causing tightness. But see if you can just bring your nose down to the armpit. And then roll it up to the ceiling. You can have the hand down on the floor if that feels better. It doesn't have, you don't have to have your head kind of coordinating the movement. I mean, the hand coordinating the movement. It's quite interesting to notice where one side feels more comfy than the other with this movement. We all favour one side. One more. And then release that hand down, taking the left hand to the left shoulder, and you're going to bring the nose up towards the ceiling and the elbow, so opening all the way out, and then bring the elbow all the way across and rotate. And again, elbow and nose coming up to the outside corner of your room, and then all the way round and down. Two more. Lift. Extend the arm if you want to as well. Play around with kind of reaching into that shoulder. And twist. And last one. And rolling it all the way down. And then come back to center. Change the cross of your legs. And then from here, just taking the hands onto the knees. And let's do a couple of little circles, just gently working into a full kind of swivel, if you like, rather than rotation. We're not really rotating the spine, we're just kind of bringing it round like a, all those things that kind of twist on the floor. And then change direction. You can rotate more if you like a little bit more twist in the spine, then just let your hands guide your rib cage as well. It can be quite a nice little waist stretch if you just roll around on the pelvis. And back through center. Right, so we're now in our bodies. We've inhabited our breath a little bit more consciously. So we're going to come up to standing. So coming on to 4-point kneeling to begin with. And then just tuck the toes underneath you. Let's take a moment here to sort of feel how this feels in the ankle and even the toe joints as well. So it'd be quite nice. It's quite nice to give yourself a little bit of a stretch into the toes and the feet. I say nice, it can be a little bit of a gruesome discovery that your toes actually really do need some stretching. And then just coming back onto a little frog position, taking a lovely deep breath in. And then as you breathe out, just bring the heels down, gently lengthening the tailbone up to the ceiling. You do not have to straighten the legs unless you feel comfortable doing so. We just want to roll the spine all the way forward. Maybe from here, experiment with straightening one leg and then straightening the other, just lengthening the hamstrings, but without going too crazy if it feels really uncomfortable. Breathing into the back of the body, nod the head yes, shake the head no. Let the shoulders really soften off the joints. Notice which parts of your body you're feeling really, you're really noticing this position in. And then on your next out breath, think about gently lifting up through your lower abdominals as if you're trying to draw your tummy away from your thighs a little bit. And then send your tailbone down. Imagine that you're just dropping your tail like a really heavy tail down, like a dinosaur tail, as you roll the spine up, bone by bone. Imagine you're lengthening up against a wall behind you. Head poised at the end of your spine. And then when you get to that standing position, just notice your feet. So are they hip width apart, or are they a little bit wider? Are they sickled out to the sides? Just bring them to hip width if you can. And make sure all 10 toes are facing forward. And then let's just take a few breaths here. So that consciously connecting into your torso, into your body in this position. So arms down by your side or hands on your rib cage if you like that feedback for where you're breathing. Take a lovely deep breath in. Imagine the breath feeding out to the sides of the body. And breathe out. And again, breathe in. And good, last one. And breathe out, let the arms release down if they're not already. We're going to, on your next out breath, roll ourselves down. So nod the chin to the chest, lengthen the back of the neck. Feel the whole of the spine independently moving bone by bone. As you release the spine down towards the mat. Again, bending those knees if you need to, only straighten them if you feel that you're not really hanging back on the heels. So see if you can keep your bottom poised above your ankles if possible. Breathing in, breathing out, rolling back up. Let the shoulder blades glide onto the back, head rest itself back at the end of the spine. Take a breath in at the top. Let's just do 2 more like this. So I want you just to feel the sense of lengthening your spine, really noticing each bone, space between each bone, how it feels to navigate through each part of your spine. Breathing in, breathing out. And let's do 1 more in your own time. So making sure you take that lovely deep breath in at the top. And eyes down. Feel the rib cage softening with the out breath. And the out breath carries you all the way down. But if you need to take an extra breath, do. Breathing in. Breathing out. Shoulders connect into the body. Crown of the head lengthens and lifts up. Back into your standing position. So we're going to come into some balancing, a little bit of balancing today. I know everyone's favourite thing. So from your standing position, make sure you've got enough space on your mat. We're going to come into a little bit of space in a calf stretch, but we're also then going to come into a little balance. So make sure if you need to, you've got stuff around you that you can kind of, either the wall or a chair that you can gently place your hand on if you feel you need a little bit of support. So from here, we're going to take a breath in. And as you breathe out, I want you to imagine your weight funneling down into your right foot. Peel the left heel off the mat and then just draw that left knee in towards your body. Notice if you've kind of shifted away to the right. See if you can, as far as possible, keep lengthening both sides of the waist as you draw that left knee in. And then you're just going to release it down. So we're just playing around with swapping our weight from one side to the other. Now releasing your energy down through that left foot. Peel the right knee, drawing it in towards you. Keeping pressing down through that left foot, lifting up through the crown of your head, noticing if you're hitching in the hips or if you feel like you can contain that balance through the pelvis. Release it down. Let's do one more either side, just imagining that shift of weight down through that left foot into the right foot. And then releasing it down. Feel that little shift of energy back to both feet and then lift and draw the knee in. And release it down. And then from here, same thing to start. We're going to peel that left foot up and lift it into the thigh or in line with the hip. And then from here, you're going to send it back behind you. Step it as far as you feel comfortable. We're going to come into a little squat, a little lunge. Not a squat, it's a lunge. And then from here, come back up and straight away, drawing that knee back in. So even just looking at you made my balance come out of whack. So you will feel that maybe finding a focal point will help you. So from your lunge, you're going to press into this supporting foot and come straight back up. And again, step it back and down into a lunge. Not too deep, go as deep as you feel you can manage it. If you can, make the stride wide enough so that you can go deep directly down towards the floor, and this knee stays as much as possible over that ankle. And again, pressing into the foot, lift it up. Two more, stride it back, lunge, and press, and lift. Last one, and press, and lift. Release the foot down. Just for a moment, close your eyes and I want you just to notice how it feels on either side. So notice how the left foot feels, the right foot, the knee, the hip, the shoulders, check in with your breath. If that felt difficult and challenging, too much challenging on the knees, we're just going to come back into a little stride and then back up. Okay, so if the lunge feels like it's too much pressure, just adapt it. Okay, so fluttering the eyelids open, we're going to go the other way. So I want you to take a breath in. You might find that one side is easier than the other. I definitely started on my weak side there, so I'm hoping not to wobble so much on this side. We're going to float that other leg in towards you. Then you're going to send it back behind you into your lunge and then come straight back up. And again, lunge. Keeping that sense of lifting through your torso, a little bit of pelvic floor here to help you. Let's come back into the knee fold. And again, lunge and knee fold. Last one, knee fold. And release the foot back down. Notice where you're feeling it. There's feet, knees, buttocks, hips. Notice where in your body the sensations are lingering. And then from here, we're going to come into a little, a slight change to that balance. So So watching first, you're going to float the knee in. Actually, my mat is really thick, so it makes me really wobble on this side. I have to go a little bit further away. So we're going to send the leg away, either just coming into that kind of T shape that we've done before, or bending and just touching the floor and then bringing it up and through. So we're going to try, it's a little bit more challenging because we're not coming down to the floor at all. If you need to, obviously do. So there's no, we're all, you know, there's going to be wobbles. So let's take a breath in. As you breathe out, floating. I'm doing my right leg, you can do your right leg too. We're going to send it back behind us, pivot forward, stay here and hover if that's easier and better and nicer to manage. Otherwise, pivot as far as you feel comfortable, and we want to bend and just touch the floor, come back up, bring the knee through. Let's do that 2 more times. You're going to send the leg away and bend, touch the floor, bring it back up. Last one. And lift. Oh, I bubbled myself in the last stretch there. Bringing it back through centre now. You might have felt that a little bit in the buttock of this supporting leg. So that's what I want to feel, this sense of power in this standing leg to keep you supported. It's really, really important for stabilising us generally in life, taking away our favoured dominant leg position. So other side, take a breath in. As you breathe out, let's float the knee in. We're going to send it back behind us, either just staying where you feel comfortable in a diagonal, wherever you feel you can manage. And then if you want, bending down, touch the floor, and then bring the knee back in. And again, send it away, away, away. Keep the lower belly lifted. Keep a sense of length and strength through the torso. Bend and lift. 2 more. Sending it back behind you. Bend and lift. Last one. Sending it back behind you. Bend and lift. Well done, guys. Standing in this nice tall standing position, you can close your eyes if you like that sense of just sort of closing, transitioning to the next exercise. We're going to breathe in to open the arms out for a count of 4. Breathing out, pressing down for a count of 4. Breathing in to open. Breathing out as you close, you're going to press the floor away, rise up onto the toes. We're going to do that 2 more times. So lifting up, pressing the floor away, lift. Last one. And pressing the floor away. Lift. Lovely. Work out for the legs, heels, ankles, bit of balance. So coming to the end of your mat now. Taking a deep breath in. And as you breathe out, let's roll down. So eyes down, chin down, lovely heavy arms. Let them drape like the Snuffleupagus' trunk. And just let the head be lovely and soft. Breathing in. Breathing out. And then when you're ready, just walking yourself out, either into a plank or lowering yourself with your knees as soon as you need to, down onto the mat. So bringing one knee under, followed by the other. And then send your bum towards your heels, release your head and shoulders all the way down. Adopt a position that feels comfortable with your arms. So either you can kind of wrap and make yourself a little stone, or you can let the arms lengthen out in front of you. But I want you to stay here for a few breaths. So allow the breath to massage the back of the body. And then you're just going to roll up with control. Bone by bone. Coming onto 4-point kneeling position. So from here, taking a position with your hands that feels comfortable for your wrist. So if you need them to be slightly in front of the shoulder joint, or even take a fist, etc. Just make sure that you listen to your wrist joints and you don't put any pressure on them. And I want you just to notice the spine. So imagine if you were standing, the back of the head, the middle of the shoulders, and the back of the pelvis would all be in the same line. So when I'm in my 4-point kneeling position, I tend to kind of pick my head up a little bit too much. So I need to just gently lengthen the chin towards the chest. So notice what your natural posture likes to do in this position. Do you like to tuck the bum under? Do you sink in the lower back? Just play around for a moment, noticing and organising the spine as if you were lying on the mat, so you had the mat behind you as guidance. And let's take a breath in and just let your tummy really soften for a moment. And as you breathe out, lift from the lower belly. Imagine from the pubic bone towards the navel, towards the breastbone. You're gently hugging the abdominal wall up and in, but without moving the bones of your spine. Breathe in now and try and maintain that lift of the belly muscles. And breathe out, just let them soften. And again, so breathing in, soften the belly. Breathing out, draw the lower belly up and in, but without moving and tucking the tailbone. Breathe in, maintain that lift of your tummy. And breathe out, just relax. Now from here, take a breath in. As you breathe out, I want you to hinge your hips back as if you're sending your heels towards the back of the mat, not towards your heels. So we're not tucking the tailbone yet. I want you to imagine keeping the spine long and straight. And then you're going to hinge back towards, back to your neutral position. And again, hinging so you feel this really deeply in the thigh joints, where the hips, in the hip socket here. So we don't want to roll the tailbone underneath. I want you to really practice that hinge. Let's do 2 more. Hinge, 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 long lower spine. And come back through center. Last one. Hinge. Now you're going to stay in this hinged back position. And I want you to roll the hips now and come into a little cat, but in that rocking cat position back behind you. And then you're going to come forward and open the chest. And then you're hinging back, hinge, 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 straight spine, and then roll the spine underneath you and then come forward. So we're creating a little wave. Open the chest, send your bottom back, back, back towards your heels, straight spine, and then roll and tuck. And then I want you, as you get used to this movement, to just allow it to flow a little bit more. So rolling into the hips, gently undulating in your spine. And then just let the knees release wide a little bit more and just come all the way back into your rest position for a moment. Let the wrists have a bit of a break. So maybe roll them, bring the palms face up to face up. And then coming back onto 4-point kneeling. Take a breath in. Now, as you breathe out, you're going to send your right leg back behind you without tipping or allowing this torso, this 4 points of your torso to change. So we're not dipping the hip or lifting it up. Imagine you've still got that rectangle of your torso exactly the same, in exactly the same place. You're going to send the leg to hip height. And I want you to bend the heel towards your bottom and then lengthen it away. And again, bend the heel to the bottom and reach it away. So this is about opening into the hamstring, lengthening the front of your hip and reach. Last one. And reach away. Now from here, it's a little bit of work for your shoulders and wrists. If it feels too much, come down onto your elbows and make sure you're relaxing your neck. We're going to, now this might, you might need a little bit of room for this, so I'm going to give you 2 versions. One is we're going to lift to hip height. We're going to come out to the side with the leg and back. But if that's too much for any furniture that you might have around, I want you to bend the knee and go as far as you feel comfortable with the knee bent. Okay, so taking a breath in. As you breathe out, we're opening up to the side and bringing it back. And again, open and bring it back. It will start to burn a little bit. So try and keep it at hip height if you can and go as far as you feel comfortable without swaying the bum as well. So we're not taking the whole of our body. Last one. And then bring it back. Rest yourself. And then we've got to do the other side. So take a breath in. As you breathe out, coming back up. Lifting through the abdominals, stabilizing your torso. Send your left leg back behind you and lift it up to hip height, but without dipping in the spine. So make sure that tailbone stays long. Breathing in. As you breathe out, bending the heel to the bottom and reaching it away. Try and keep that knee in line with your hip if you can. So we're trying not to dip the leg down too much. We really want to open up through the front of the thigh. Last two. Last one. Release it. If you can, keep it lifted. We're going to start to feel it around the hip here. Take a breath in. As you breathe out, lifting it out to the side and bring it back. And again, out. Now on this side, I really want to pivot my whole body. So I have to work really hard to get this in the buttock and the hip muscle. Remember, you can bend the knee if you don't have space to do this. Doesn't have to go too far out to the side. Last one. And bringing it back down, resting through the spine. You can either stay for a moment in that rest position or automatically, immediately flip yourself round onto your back, because we're going to come into a glute stretch in a moment. So just take a few moments here just to breathe and relax into the shoulders, the neck. I sort of automatically just bring my knees to my chest, but you might want to just be in relaxation position, whichever feels more kind of beckoning for your body. Either way, you've just done a lot of work for the shoulders, just purely by keeping stationary. So we want to let the shoulders really release now. So bringing the feet down to the floor before we relax into the stretch into the glutes. I want you to bring the arms out to the side, palms facing up. Now, if you have space, it might be a space issue. So don't worry if you can only stay relatively stationary. If you need to sort of bring your fingers in line with the elbows, then do, bending them in a kind of stand and deliver. What's the pose? Kind of surrender pose. Or if you have space, little snow angels on the floor. So opening the arms in gentle movements from just above the shoulder blades to just below or down to the hips. Tracing that little line. If it feels too much for the shoulders, don't force it. So only go in a range of movement that feels like it's giving you a gentle stretch. And then release the arms, just let them settle and soften. And then from here, let's just stretch into the glutes a little bit. So I want you to float the left knee in towards you. Take that left foot across the right knee. Now you might need to just notice if you've got a pillow underneath your head. If you don't, you might find that the chin wants to poke up to the ceiling, which is very normal, but I want you to see if you can keep your eye focus just down your nose a little bit as you float the right knee in towards you. Taking hold around the back of the thigh, coming into that stretch on the left side of your bum. If you don't immediately feel the stretch, see if you can kind of drop onto the right side of the hip a little bit, and that will send the stretch further into your bum. Or just play around with the positioning of your legs, so pushing this left knee out, dipping into the right knee, flexing the right and the left heels. All of these things will change the energy of the stretch. And then release that foot down, take the left foot down. Let's go to the other side. So bringing the right knee across. Check your hips stay square on the mat. Float the left knee in, noticing your eye focus. If it's pinging back behind you, see if you can bring your eyes towards the ceiling, just down from your nose a little bit. Breathing in. And then release the feet back down one by one. Arms down by your side, relaxing those shoulders. Let's take a breath in. And as you breathe out, rolling the spine underneath you, come into your spine curl. So peeling the bum, the lower back, and then into the waist, up until you're just sort of wherever you can go without arching your back. So it might be you're right up by the middle of the shoulder blades, or maybe you stay a little bit lower down. Notice where for you is your sweet spot. Breathing in, breathing out, rolling the spine down. So with in the same way as for our roll down, standing up, I want you to notice if you can feel every bone of your spine, or imagine every bone of your spine moving independently from the one next to it. Breathe in, breathe out, soften and lengthen the spine down. Finding that hinge of the hips on the way back. So make sure you really drop the tailbone before you then begin the next one. Let's do 3 more. Two more. Heavy through all 10 toes. Feeling the buttocks working here, feeling the hamstrings lengthening rather than gripping. So if you feel this in the back of the thighs, imagine lengthening your knees away and pressing into the feet a little bit more consciously. Breathe in, breathe out, roll it down. I think I said last 2. And on your last one, I would like you to stay up there. So let's come up onto your lifted bridge position. Again, checking in with your spine, make sure you're not arching. So let's all find the lower part of your rib cage and then span that space between the bottom rib and the top hip, the hip bone. So you've got that little square, that little box. We want to feel active in that box. We haven't allowed it to ping up to the ceiling. You want to feel connected, deepening through the abdominals. The buttocks are really working here as you press the hip bones and the pubic bone towards the ceiling. I want you to stay strong in the bum. We're going to float the arms up towards the ceiling, palms facing in towards each other. Relax the shoulders. You're going to breathe in, open the arms to the side. Breathe out, close them, drawing in through the belly, making sure the buttocks are still strong. 2 more, breathing in. Breathing out, feel the bum working to keep the hips lifted. Last one. And back through center. Roll the spine down, bone by bone. Relaxing through the hips, let the buttocks completely soften. Imagine really heavy tailbone. Breathing in, and as you breathe out now, I want you to allow the arms to softly come down towards your hips as you nod the nose towards your belly. Keep the bum really strong and heavy. So imagine, oh sorry, not strong, I want you to feel the bum really dropping down into the mat rather than tucking towards you. Breathing in, breathing out. Let's roll it back up with the fingertips towards the ceiling, and the spine comes to join it. So nice and strong in the bum again. Now instead of opening the arms here, which you can do if you felt comfortable there, we're going to now introduce a little bit more balance, a little bit more work for the bum. So breathing in, as you breathe out, we're going to extend our left leg. So before you do it, imagine really strong into that right foot. Imagine that both sides of your bum are going to stay working hard. You're going to lengthen that left leg away, and then you're going to bring it back down. Imagine the hips don't move at all. You're going to lengthen the right leg away, and then you're going to bring it down. And then you're going to open your arms with the in-breath. And as you close the arms, roll the spine down. Soften the shoulders, take a breath in. As you breathe out, let's just softly curl. So sending the spine up in the opposite direction. The arms float towards the thighs, and then release the spine back down, fingertips to the ceiling. Let's do one more variation of that. So you're going to take a breath in. As you breathe out, you can stay at whichever variation you prefer if you don't want to add a little bit more. We're not adding any more strength load, we're more adding a logistical load here. So I want you to take a breath in. Now, as we extend our right leg, we're going to open our left arm out to the side. So it's a cross body agility here. So taking a breath in, as you breathe out, lengthen the right leg, open the left arm, and release both back to center. See if you can do this without tilting the pelvis. Lengthen the left leg, right arm comes out, and then back. Let's do one more either side like that if you can bear it. We're going to reach the right leg, open the left arm, and bring it back. Other side. And bring it back. Open the arms wide with an in-breath. And breathing out. Roll the spine down. And then just bring the knees into your chest. And roll the spine from side to side. Well done, guys. Now from here, just keeping hold of your right leg, send your left leg away along the floor, coming into your hip flexor stretch. Breathing into that space at the front of the left hip. If it doesn't feel like much of a stretch, that's totally fine. You might want, if you do have a small ball, you might want to just place your bum on that if you do want to have a little bit of an extra hip flexor stretch. Or just imagine a sense of heaviness and weight down the back of that left thigh. And then you're going to hold on through the back of the right leg and grow that right leg tall to the ceiling. It doesn't have to straighten, but imagine instead standing on the ceiling with that right foot. Point and flex the foot. Even better, imagining you're picking a cherry from the ceiling and you're pulling it down and dropping it up. There's a cherry tree above you. So really working through the arch of the foot and the toe joints. Last one. And then circle the ankle. And then bring the knee back in. Swap the legs over, release the right leg to the floor, draw the left leg in towards you, breathe. Relaxing the shoulders. And then when you're ready, taking hold around the back of the right thigh, left thigh, growing the leg tall, flexing into the heel. So as long as the heel is lengthening away from the sit bone, it doesn't matter if your leg is bent or straight. So see if you can try and find that length down the back of the hamstring without lifting the bum away from the floor too much. Let's point and flex the foot. Really working through the toe joints as well. Now my left foot is is a poor relation of my right foot when it comes to this, and it always cramps when I try and ask it to do any work like this. Ouch. And circle the ankle. Change direction. And then bring that knee all the way back in. Now either with the next one, you can keep the feet down, and I want you to glue the feet and knees together. So imagine you're wearing one legging around both legs. Otherwise, if you want to have a little bit more challenge to the abdominals, a little bit general more effort through your muscles, this is as much effort as you would like to make it, but if you feel that it's going into your lower back, keep the feet down at all times. Otherwise, let's just experiment, see how it goes. So taking the legs, gluing them together, check that your knees are just about above the thighs. So we don't want the knees to be hanging off the hip joints. We don't want to feel the lower spine is arched. I want you to feel like your hip, remember that hip hinge that we found in our 4-point kneeling at the beginning? That's what we're coming back to here. The spine is nice and long, but your legs are hinging in their sockets. From here, take a breath in, arms out by your side. You can have palms down or up, whichever feels more sturdy. We're going to come across to the left, keeping those knees glued together. So only go as far as you can maintain that connection with the inner thighs, but your belly as well. So we're not dropping the legs away. Keep them connected. Bring it back through center. Let's go the other way, twisting through the spine. This supporting shoulder stays heavy and open. Breathe in, breathe out, back through center. You can breathe in to come across. Breathe out to bring it back if you'd like to speed it up a little bit. In to come across. out, draw the belly in, bring it back through center. One more either side. And out to the other side. And then let's lengthen the legs way up to the ceiling, even if you've had your feet down. And then from here, you can, as long as you, remember, you can keep the knees quite bent if it feels like you're making the legs suffer a little bit. You will probably feel this in the front of your thighs. I want you to deepen your pelvic floor connection and your lower abdominals, and you'll feel that takes the pressure away from the front of the thighs, but also inner thighs. Squeeze those inner thighs together. I want you to imagine your pelvic clocks now, but we're going to draw our pelvic clocks with the whole of our legs joining in as well. So I want you to just gently draw the marble to 12. So imagine when you're here, you're tucking the tailbone underneath you. We're going to do that with the legs extended. They can be soft and bent, okay? So breathing in, breathing out, tuck the tailbone underneath you. We're going to gently draw your pelvic clock. Keep your tummy working softly to support the spine. If it feels too much, bring the feet down and just come into your pelvic clocks. So let's keep those legs glued together. We're going to do one and then change direction. And change direction at each time. We're going to do 3 in each direction. See if you feel that you can really draw the inner thighs together if the front of the thighs start switching on a bit too much. Last one either side. Well done, guys. Bring the knees in towards you. Roll from side to side. Let's just reach through the center of the thighs and grab hold of your shins or your ankles and let the knees drop out to the side. So you're getting a little bit of an inner thigh stretch. Breathe. And then I want you just to release the feet down. Let's roll over onto your side momentarily. It doesn't matter which side. And you're going to bring your knees out in front of you. We're going to come into a little quad stretch because you've worked the front of your legs quite a lot today. So from here, lengthening the top leg away, just reach behind you for your ankle or your shin, or the front of the foot, and just send the leg in line with the body. So check you're not reaching it in front of you. You want to feel like your knee would be lengthening as if you were standing, so in line with the hip. And just connecting the front of your body a little bit so we're not arching the back and sending the ribs forward. Breathe. And then release the knee back down. Before you move over to the other side, bring the arm out in front of you. Let's just come into a little arm opening, sending the arm up towards the ceiling. Follow the movement of your spine with your nose. Breathing in, breathing out, close. So you can either do your arm openings or you can do little chalk circles if that feels better for you. Let's just do a few of these, taking lovely deep slow breaths, gently kind of moving down a notch. Last one. And then you can either roll yourself over to the other side or press yourself up and lower yourself over onto the other side, whichever feels better in terms of being able to see your screen, etc. Bringing the feet in front of you as if you're sitting on a chair, nice and long through the torso. You might want to just connect as we normally do when we come to the side. Connect with the abdominals, softly lifting the bottom side of your waist. And you're going to reach that top leg away, taking hold around the front of the knee, the front of the foot. Lengthen the knee away in line with your tailbone. Breathe. And then releasing that knee back down, bringing the arm out in front of you, palm on top of palm, and either coming into a chalk circle or an arm opening, whichever feels more nourishing for your spine. Whichever movement you're doing, notice how it affects the rib cage area. So if you've got more mobility in the shoulder with the chalk circle, notice if you're moving just the arm and not too much of the shoulder of the torso. We want to see if we can have as much rotation through the spine as possible. Last two. And back through center. Then you're just going to press yourself up to sitting very gently. Coming back to where we began, with the legs softly crossed, crossing the way that you don't normally cross them to begin with, although as ever we will change the cross. Let the shoulders softly release into the back and take a moment with the hands either on the knees or in the resting in your lap, whichever you feel comfortable with. Just notice how you feel now compared to the beginning of the session. Return to the breath for a moment. Notice if you feel you're sitting a bit taller, the shoulders are a bit further away from the ears, whatever you notice within the body. And then just releasing the arms down by your side, you're going to float the left arm up. Release it all the way. A lovely side reach here, breathing in. Breathing out, glide the arm back and down. Let's come the other way. Lifting up, painting a line on the ceiling, reach up and over. Lifting up. Let's do two more either side. So you can either windmill or have quite separate movements of the arms, whichever feels kind of nicer for you. And finishing, going off to the left. And back through center. Let's just briefly change the cross of the legs once more before we come into our lovely relaxation. And you're going to fold yourself forward, releasing the spine, draping your spine forward and down. So just let the forehead release towards the floor. It doesn't have to go anywhere near it. Just imagine you're draping from the tailbone up and all the way down like a little rainbow. And then coming up slowly. Come into a position of your choice, surrounded, supported by pillows, either lying, you could lie with your legs up the wall, you could have them resting on your lower legs resting on the sofa or the side of the sofa. You could have a bolster underneath the backs of the knees, pillow underneath the head and shoulders, whichever you prefer. Just take some time consciously to make yourself as supported by the ground around you as possible. And then when you come to that position where you feel like you're fully held by the surface that you're resting into, see if you can begin a process of fully surrendering the weight of your muscles into the ground. So begin by noticing the most obvious parts of your body which might feel like they're holding on to tension, so possibly around the neck and the shoulders. Imagine the weight of your head is fully lengthened back into the pillow or whatever it's been guided by. And that enables the neck to switch off. It no longer has to lift, it can release. Imagine then the collarbones just softly widening across the front of your body. And the breastbone just widens with the in-breath. and falls with the out. Allow the belly to be soft. Let the breath occupy that space. Massaging your internal organs. Opening and closing like bellows. And notice any heaviness, any tension around the hips and the buttocks. See if you can allow the hips to fully let go. Allow the muscles all around the hip joint to just soften, release. Let your legs feel lengthened, front of the thigh, the back of the thigh, and all around the hips. Imagine the calf muscles switching off, the ankle joints relaxed, every one of your 10 toes releasing away. And then allow the breath to feel like it's traveling all the way around the body. On the in-breath, it's all the way down to the toes. On the out-breath, it's washing all the way back across the body before it leaves. And then bring your attention finally to the features of your face. Think about the forehead, allow it to be soft. Space between your eyes, the eye sockets, your cheekbones, the soft, fleshy parts of your cheeks. Just let them be fully relaxed. Relaxing the jaw, the throat, the ears. Just softly noticing any areas that might be able to be relaxed just that little bit more. And give yourself permission to stay here for as long as you need. And next week I was thinking that we would maybe do some hand weights. If you don't have hand weights per se, you're more than welcome, if you do live locally, to come and pick a couple up. Otherwise you can use tin of beans, anything like that water bottle I've got in the background, anything like that that might weigh around a kilo or a little bit more. It would be groovy if we could just add a little bit of extra dimension to some of our exercises next week. But stay in this lovely repose for as long as you feel it's comforting and nourishing. And I will see you next week, everyone.